So, what's the worst like Airbnb experience, or like the weirdest?
So, I will tell you the weirdest and worst, but actually great story. In contract for it, designed the whole thing, and in his divorce degree, unbeknownst to himself, he's at closing titles looking at his divorce. He was not finalized his divorce yet. So it says in there that he is not allowed to move out of state because of his daughter and their school system. So he's like, what are we talking about? I'm a week away from closing. Yeah. So his attorney's like, you can't buy the house. Or you can't move into it. Yeah. He could buy it, but he couldn't move.
Airbnb.
We were like, well, let's Airbnb it. So Amanda.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. I mean, the basement was soundproof because he's a musician. As you can see, I mean, dude's just walking in with this big, giant speaker. And, she screenshots it. She's like, there's going to be a party here tonight. They had a rager. I mean, vomit was everywhere.
Oh, shut up.
Burnt, holes in their couch.
Oh,
cigarette
shit.
burns everywhere. Puke everywhere. They did something to the coffee pot. There's like this black shit in the coffee pot.
Jesus, what was
Bong.
that?
Turn the coffee pot into a bonger.
It was a
crack or whatever you call it.
Right.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Scalers Only Show, where we talk real estate, business, lifestyle, and everything in between. Today, I've got the GOAT, the queen, Misty Linn, just the boss of real estate. And I've got to ask you a question. Are realtors dead?
Some are.
Ooh. I love that answer.
Going right in. Yeah, some realtors are going to be dead. It's a changing market. So if you don't align yourself with a mentor that's probably been in the game for a couple of years, you haven't been through the crash of 2008, and you don't know how to pivot in your business, you're not running your business, you're not scaling your business, then you might die.
Pivot.
I love it.
Yeah.
She didn't even go with
pivot.
irrelevant. She went with, you dead.
She was like, you
Yeah,
guys
know
are right.
too. You would know.
Hey.
And for a little bit of the people that are listening, what do you kind of do and where are you from? You're from Columbus or Ohio? No, you're from Ohio.
You're
Akron.
from Akron.
From Akron, yeah.
Okay.
AK Rowdy.
Make it rowdy.
Oh, my
God. North side, Summit County.
Then you have a bunch of businesses too,
Got a whole
not
song.
not just real estate. You do like nightclubs and a bunch. I mean, what do you do for people listening?
So I own Core Realty Collection, and I own District West, and then I also am co-owner on my Link Mentorship Program.
What do you not do then? Shoot, that's the question.
Dabble
Right.
a little bit in everything. So
Now, volume in your agency business, volume per agent, you do more volume per agent than any other brokerage in the entire city of Columbus, maybe even the whole damn state.
Impressive.
yeah, so there. I mean, you have your larger, red ones, your Keller Williams.
Keller Williams.
But if you do, per agent, per capita, it's our brokerage is
Agent
like
per
And there's a lot in Columbus.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
That's not
A
like
lot of capitas or a lot of agents?
both
What's a
there's almost
capita?
9,000.
per capita.
There's
Oh,
almost 9,000 agents
It's wild.
Jeez, that is wild.
in the Columbus MLS, so that is wild.
So how have you attracted your entire, because you have, 19, 20, 30?
19 agents
Okay.
underneath me that are with Core Realty Collection. So really just adding value, and I try to do that in all my businesses, adding value.
Yeah.
I don't want the agents that are, and also an agent has to understand you're running your own business. It is, yes, I own the brokerage, yes, we hold your license, but you're still the business owner. So you're running that business and treat it as opening the doors to your store.
like a franchise,
So if you
right?
decide- Yeah. If you decide to stay in bed till noon, well, guess what? Your store's not opening till noon. You might have customers that are waiting for you. So I always think of that mentality of, if I'm not working, my store's not open.
I've never heard it put that way in real estate. So I remember I used to own a brewery way back in the day, failed miserably, but was not successful like you. But we had to get the doors open by a certain time. We had to get the brewery open by a certain time, and I never equated that to the real estate. I always thought in real estate, business is either open 24/7 or when you say it's open. But for you, you're like, hey, this is the time you got to open, and just think of your business like a traditional brick and mortar store.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting.
I don't think people in South Florida know this. You got to teach the agents down there this. You call and it's like, oh, one day they'll get back to you, one day they won't. There's no set schedule. We're
Yeah.
open this week. We're not open next week.
Yeah.
Do you get a lot of calls? Because that was always
Shit
my
ton of
thing with
calls.
some realtors,
Yeah.
is that I was like, I always call them, they never answer.
Yep.
Now, doing what we do, I'm like, oh, they probably get a lot of calls.
Yeah. No, I definitely get a lot of calls. I have 2 phone numbers, which is very helpful.
So you got business, personal, or separate businesses?
You know, my cell phone number was on every sign that I had in the yard. So
Damn.
my cell phone is like blowing up constantly.
I never thought of that.
Good thing you have
Yeah.
anytime minutes.
Right.
You gotta route that shit
Good old
somewhere.
Verizon. So yeah, routing that, getting another number, putting a different number on signs, and then having that also feed to an assistant is extremely helpful.
I can, yeah.
Yeah.
Virtual assistant, or you have both?
I have both. Yeah. Yeah. Well, my VA is social media marketing, handles all that back end stuff on social media.
How much does that take off your plate? Like
So
Headspace, doesn't that just allow you to be able to like?
I still find myself doing stuff, and then I'm like, what the fuck am I doing this for? That's you know, I just shoot it over to them, and I'm like, why, you know, take it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
What's wild, even setting this up, and I not every guest has this, but the way that your assistants had things set up to just automatically happen for you, I thought
Mhm.
was pretty incredible.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
So we don't have
And-
that even.
I mean, I do for the most part, but there was things that your assistant did that mine doesn't, and I was
Mhm.
just, it's like, oh, I'm gonna
No,
go ahead
no.
and take that and
Yeah.
put that in my repertoire there.
Yeah.
And
It's actually why we have guests on here, just to take little bits and pieces and put it back into
I
our
did,
budget.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
cool. So going back to like the very beginning, when I met you, you were originally an agent for a mutual friend of ours, Austin Rutherford.
Mhm.
But like, walk me back even before that. What was you doing? How'd you get into real estate? Like,
Yeah.
like how'd all this shit happen?
What was that key moment? Yeah.
So honestly, the key moment was being miserable in a job. You know, I was a teacher's aide for kids with behavioral disabilities, and I was my 4th year into that, and I was truly like, this, I'm either going to be an alcoholic or I'm going to kill someone else's kid. One of those 2 things are going to happen.
So you became an
It's supposed
alcoholic.
to be rewarding.
I'm kidding.
It's supposed to be rewarding, but instead it's driving me to the edge.
It's, you know, it's, if it was just the kids and I,
It's
for
different.
sure, I probably may still be doing it. You know, it's the politics that are in a public school that just are not it's not favoring the children. It's favoring funding for the schools, and I didn't think it was fair. You know, I'm sitting there with my nonverbal autistic kid, and he has to sit for how many minutes for a state mandated test so they can just mark on a paper that they were in that room. And it's like, this is bullshit. And I don't agree with it. I don't like sitting in these IEP meetings. It just all felt very fake to me.
What's an
and I had
IUP meeting?
It's a behavioral meeting.
Gotcha.
So like how
My
are
mom
they-
talks
yeah.
about this all the time. She
Yeah.
does the same thing.
Yeah. So it just, you know, when your alarm goes off and you're hitting snooze to that very last second of like, well, now I actually have to get up.
Like
while I'm
literally
late.
dreading getting up.
Dreading getting up. That's when you need to do something else. Life is way too short to stay in that.
That's when you
that
drink.
world. Correct.
Is that
Or
why
you
you open a
change.
bar? Let's be honest. Okay.
So I was worked at Tremont Elementary. I had a friend moving from Chicago who's just like, hey, I'm going to be downtown. Do you want to go look at condos with me? I said, sure.
This was in Chicago?
No, this was here. So
Oh,
she was
okay.
moving here. And I met Bruce Dooley, Dooley & Company.
Bruce
He
Dooley.
had 7 agents in his brokerage. And I
bench.
started to go, benches. I started to go to those open houses, and then he's like, "Okay, I started to see more than I'm seeing half my agents. Like, what's the deal here?" And I was like, "It's really cool. I love looking at the older homes."
Does he
encouraged me
live-
to go get licensed.
Does he live on Neil Avenue?
Yeah.
I used to live right 2 doors down from him. I also saw his license plate Dooley. I'm like, I wonder if
Dooley,
that's Dooley. Like, he's my neighbor.
Yeah, he lives right there. So yeah, he encouraged me to go get licensed. I went and got licensed. I came, back to him, and what a lot of people don't know, it took me 3 times to pass my test to get my license. And that 3rd time, I'm like, okay, I'm putting this out in the universe. Maybe this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing, because why can't I've never studied for anything.
Did you just
in my
cram?
life. I crammed.
Yeah.
I did the crammer until I, started scoring 100% because I was memorizing the questions. And it was, it was the second part, the third time I passed it, and I was like, okay,
Yay!
this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And then, really, what brought me into the investing world is the crash. I
Is that when you started actually like flipping or buying?
no, hard-headed, took me way longer than that.
Yeah.
Instead, I was
You got
helping
fan
people.
It's on.
Oh, it is on?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Relax.
I was helping other people. I was helping, Austin Rutherford. When we were, he's buying properties, and I met Austin at a property. I had clients that wanted to live on Mount Vernon. And Mount Vernon is, not Mount Vernon, Mount Pleasant in Chicago.
Okay. All right.
That's a big difference.
Yeah.
Because I know what year this is.
Wait a minute.
So, and I'm like, that could take like 2 years, 6 years. I mean, you never know what's going to come on the market.
Yeah.
So I just called title companies. I'm like, hey, if you get a closing, Mount Vernon or Mount Pleasant, and Amy Long at World Class Title was like, I just had this dude close, so I'm like, do you care if I have his number? So I called Austin, and dude, I showed up there. He's standing on the porch. I thought he was the painter.
I was gonna say he's young at this point, right?
Oh my
He had
God.
to be
He had on
what?
sweatpants, right?
First of all, I thought
Was he
he
21?
was probably a 52-year-old black man. Then I was like, so I show up to the property, and he's maybe 21, if that. I might be 20.
If that?
Yeah. And he's like, hey, I'm Austin. I was like, oh, I'm supposed to be meeting Austin Rutherford? And he's like, that's me. I'm like, what?
He's definitely
Hey,
mature.
I gotta call the cops. This is imposter syndrome.
Literally.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I started working with Austin on that deal. With my clients, we did, the floor plan, the design, helped them with all that. And then he asked me for lunch, and I was like, sure, we can go to lunch. Clearly, 100% was an interview. I mean, it was like question
You didn't
after
even-
question after question.
You didn't even
I
know.
had no idea.
You're like, all
I
right.
was like, sure, congratulations, we had a closing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely an interview, and I started selling his houses. So sold one, then the next one, and I'm like, dude, who's doing your design work? Like, I sold the first one, okay, that's fine. And then to keep repeating it, and the amount of value you want to do, you have to add value to the houses.
Yeah.
So, when we're looking at light fixtures, and he's stuck on the 1999, boob lights everywhere. Fine,
That's us.
I like those too.
She's going through our office building. I'm giving her a tour earlier, and she's like, I'm like, Misty, this is not your rehab. Okay, I still use
These
lights.
would have been if this wasn't a studio.
Yeah. For sure.
That's so funny.
So, he's like, who looks at light fixtures? I'm like, apparently not 21-year-old dudes. So he gave me a very strict budget, and was like, if I could stay within these budgets, then I could pick out the light fixtures. It was all, he has his spreadsheets. He just moves all SKUs over to the next house. Just change the address. So it was they were all the
Just
same.
copy paste.
Copy paste. Very systematic. So yeah.
Efficient
we
way
did
to do
one.
it. But yeah.
Very efficient. We did one is 930 South Ohio, and he let me fully go in on it, and we sold for over asking price.
That's right over here, right? 206? Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was and that's really where I started doing design work for investors. But then I was, I'm at a closing, buyers do their walkthrough, and they're like, oh, there weren't mirrors at the property in the bathrooms. I'm like, oh, I'll be right back. I'm running to Home Depot, Lowe's, getting mirrors. I'm just, light fixtures in my car. I'm like, this is just crazy. Because when you start to look at the closing statement, you're like, okay, you made $60,000. I'm getting 3%. Sweet. I'm like, this is stupid.
Yeah, I remember, we've talked about this a number of times on our vacations and all that stuff. But what year was that? Was that 2015?
It's not that
16?
long ago.
It was 2015.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you had the mindset switch, and you're like, why the fuck am I running to Home Depot?
Literally. Why am I running to Home Depot?
For 3%.
Why am I, why am I not doing this? And honestly, a lender was a person that came to me and said, why aren't you doing your own flips? I see you backing all
Like
these
designing
investors.
all the shit. And
Right. Why aren't you doing it yourself? And for me, the number one thing, it was scarcity of financing. So I'm like, how do you leverage yourself financing, financing these deals? And, and then when you start to actually get into it, you're like, oh, this is how you guys do it, not coming from money and then asking people for money is a very scary thing.
Tough thing.
Yeah.
How did you approach that then? Because I know a lot of the people we talk to, that's probably their number one thing to get started is, where do I find money? How do I get money?
Deals are
Whether it's private, hard, whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest question when we have our the most people on our calls. It's always the finance ones.
Yeah.
Do you know people with money, or
Always.
do you have to find people with money? Because some people are in the right circles and it's never utilized, but other people just don't know anyone and they have to actually go find people.
Yeah, for me it was finding people, and then a couple people came to me of like, hey, I have honestly digging deeper into what people's goals are too. I had a lot of investors coming to me like, oh, I want to do a flip. Do you? Because this is what actually happened. Yeah.
Everyone always says that. That's the first thing they want to do. I want to flip. I want to do a flip. It's like,
Yep. So when you dive deeper into somebody's actual goals, they have money in the bank. They don't know what to do with it, so they want to do a flip. Okay, well, I can make that money work for you at a higher percentage of what you're getting at your bank. And you don't have to do the mess of the flip.
and you don't have a chance to F it up. Right. Yeah.
Right.
So, it just seems like sales 101 as you're talking. I'm like, yeah, what are your goals?
Mhm.
Really, do you want to? Let me educate you on what I do and the value that I bring and all the
Yeah.
bullshit that I got to deal with.
Yep.
And then, but do you just want to partner on this, right? Partner.
Yeah.
And then we make money together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you
that's
had
it.
already had a successful brokerage at that point?
Yes. Yep.
So-
So I bought my brokerage 8 years ago.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
So
and
like
I
right
had
before
a business
that.
partner there, and then I bought my business partner out almost 2 years ago.
Is that one of the messy
No, it
partnerships
actually
you were?
wasn't messy.
Okay.
No, he had other goals of property management, which I want nothing to do with. And he was taking a lot of business to Florida.
Mm.
So, yeah, it was just a different alignment of goals, and we got approached by Coldwell Bankers, got approached by bigger brokerages
Buy
to
you out?
buy us out.
how
but
big
I'm
was the
like,
brokerage?
I'm not going to put a Coldwell Banker son in my yard. I'm
Yeah.
just not. So either I buy you out, something needs to happen, or I start my own thing on the side. So, it was a buyout, and it worked out really well.
That's awesome. So going back to partnerships, so you have some people, they're on this side of the fence, it's like, yeah, partnerships are everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this side of the fence is like, dude, I'll never do a partnership again, right?
It really is
So-
hot or cold
It is. There's no
from
in
everyone
between
we've
on that
had.
shit.
Yeah.
So like,
What would an in between be though? Either have one or you don't.
well,
There is
I'm
no
just
in
saying,
between.
I'm saying, when you have multiple businesses,
Yeah.
multiple things go. I don't even know how many LLCs I own at this point, but I've had some partnerships. Most of them have failed and not worked out.
Yep.
But like, what would you attribute to having a successful partnership, knowing that you've had some L's in that department?
Whew, yeah, have I ever? Seriously.
What was
The reason I'm
No names, though, but-
the reason I'm still, above water is I attribute that to education. So I'm like, okay, this cost me this much. That's how much I paid for my education that year.
Mm.
Because it is just the amount of money and the stupidity of just trusting somebody else with your business. Again, it goes back to, Misty, why are you partnering, or why aren't you doing this yourself? You can do it yourself. And for me, a partnership, it felt more comfortable. It's kind of like that blanket over you, like, oh,
Yeah,
we'll
fall
do this
back.
together.
Right.
Yeah. So if it goes south, I'm going south with somebody else. Hopefully they have a wrap.
Hey, we'll be cellmates together.
Hope you care as much as I
What
do.
was
Yeah.
what was
No.
the worst partnership you've ever had?
Again, no names.
Yeah,
No names.
I won't say
I mean,
names,
unless you
but,
want to.
But this fool, I'm kidding.
This mother.
It was going in on a package deal. So it's not like you have one property that you're doing, multiple properties, very fast. buying. I'm going to be the contractor. I'm going to do all these deals for you. Don't worry about it. You go vet the money. You go vet the deals. I'll do the back end work. Then they weren't doing the back end work, or they do it up to about 60% and then never finishing a project. So you're like sitting, and this interest rate's going up on funding. Your name's on it. Their name's on nothing. And it's like,
So they've got no risk.
No
They've got
risk
skin
at
in
all.
the game. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're taking the draw money, getting 60% done, and then I'm stuck with a bag at the end, and trying to raise money just to finish the project, and it's not working. It's.
So was in real estate was the worst partnership, like across all your businesses though, or was there anything a different type of business that you also had a bad partnership in?
Real estate for sure. The restaurant business.
See, that's a tough one. That's why I was surprised.
Yeah.
That
I
one's a
got out of
very.
that.
Mr. Restaurants.
Yeah, I got out of that pretty quickly. So I just wasn't in the game of that. Like, I didn't go there.
It's a tough business. You got to be there, and you have to show face and
It
do a
has to
lot
be your
of things.
baby, and that's where it was like, okay, District West is my baby. The other restaurant is your baby. Let's just part ways, 50-50, and you do that, I'll do this, and we're good. Shake hands and leave, And that was the most amicable way to do it. No money was exchanged, handshake, legally take each other off, and that's it. So, restaurant business definitely was not for me. No.
Terry can probably.
That's why we get along.
Yeah.
You know what? I tried it.
Yep.
Put in some effort. It just wasn't for me. But the other thing for me on that whole thing was, I owned this brewery, but then I became the beer guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I love a good drink.
Yep.
However, I don't love a good drink at 11 o'clock at a business meeting.
Correct.
And then that ends up, and then next thing you know, you're showing up to work at 3 o'clock and you've downed 4 craft beers with the investors.
Yep.
And then you got to drink more with your banker that's coming in, and you're just like, damn, man, like,
Right.
when does it end?
Right.
Make it in.
Yeah.
You
Terry
miss
doesn't
out-
No,
handle-
usually it's like, no, let's keep going. More meetings. What happened yesterday?
Terry doesn't handle his craft
You
beer
left in
well
5
either.
deals, Terry. Good job.
I had meetings. But yeah, you just, it is a tough, it has to be your baby.
Has to be your baby. I mean, you have to.
This takes a lot of time too. It does take up so much time.
You have the amount of trust in that in between those 4 walls is
A lot of
is
moving
huge.
pieces.
A lot of moving pieces, yeah.
You got kitchen, you got bar.
I mean, loss and shrink. That's one of the big. You're gonna have it. You just gotta minimize it. And
Yeah.
It's
no
all
matter
business
what.
where your
Yeah.
inventory goes bad.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or gets
literally.
given away.
Or gets given
Yeah.
away.
Yep.
I mean, there's 99 different ways to steal in the bar business.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Especially a tip-based business.
Is that a
and
Jay-Z song?
No,
Hey.
Problems.
There you go.
maybe when I start my battle rap career, I
Right.
Don't
throw
start
that in
them,
there.
please. People are watching this show.
Yeah.
Is that
Wheels are turning, I can see.
with like getting into flips and buying your own properties? Was dealing with contractors, was that something that was a little bit eye-opening?
Absolutely. Yeah. That is something eye-opening, something that you still deal with. I don't think that ever really ends, because you can have a great flip and we're moving to the next one, and then it's like, dude,
What
where
happened?
is the electrician
It's
at?
like, oh,
Or
you
what
did
is happening?
90% and then stopped
Yeah.
and moved on.
They last for 8 months, 8 to 10 months,
Yeah.
no matter how good they are.
Yep. And then for me, I start to show the GC, the numbers. I'm like, look, I'm paying this per day. So when you tell me, oh, so-and-so didn't show up, that's how much this is
That's
costing
another
me.
day.
Yeah.
And when you tell me, oh, it's only going to be 3 months, and here we are 6 months later, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And do you want that taken from your pay?
Right.
Because
You're like, that's
don't give a shit,
double the
it's- I'm
cost.
paying it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's contractors are. I think they're always a thing. I've met really good ones, but you have the GC who have the subs, and something always falls.
We shared a flooring guy, apparently.
Yeah.
I was talking to I ended up doing epoxy floor at my new house that I got, because I wanted to make it nice and long, like it's a cool design.
Yeah.
So I met this guy, and he was telling me his resume. He's like, yeah, I did District West. I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
you work for me? In that case, I'm hiring you. Sure, you're
Yeah.
good. That's good
Yeah.
right there. So, I mean, your name brings a lot of value in the community as well, obviously. But the guy was really good, and we had that like custom marble floor, and
Yep.
Jeff.
Jeff, yeah. We're actually going to do that at the club. So,
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does a really good job.
Nice.
Really good job.
They say you can either have it good, you can have it cheap, You're gonna have it fast. You can't have all three.
You gotta have all
You gotta
three.
pick 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Actually, you could.
But it ain't gonna happen. You can pick it, but it ain't gonna happen.
I mean, if you do cheap and good, isn't it like the contractors wanting to do it faster because otherwise they're just wasting their time? Like, who would want to take as long as they
It ain't gonna
can?
be good. It ain't gonna be good.
I don't know.
You would think that
You would
be
be
the mentality,
surprised,
but
right?
it is not the mentality.
'Cause then they
They're
win.
Like, sick, I have a job security for the next 6 months, and
But
I'm
you're not
gonna
gonna
take
pay
6
anymore.
months. I'm not paying anymore, but they're out of the house and busy.
Yeah.
Is there a contractors union?
Guaranteed.
I don't know. That's a
Yeah.
great question, actually.
If
Really
not, we
good
could
question.
start one.
Yeah.
So you got so you have a shit ton of Airbnbs as well, on top of rentals, on top of everything else you got going on. Focusing on the Airbnb piece for a second, what got you into that piece? How are you structuring that? And like, I guess, what do you foresee that whole business moving forward?
So Airbnbs, even with the slight market shift that we've had the past couple of months, I have turned some of my Airbnbs into long-term rentals. Just because, when
That's crazy. Not to cut you off, but that's crazy because most people
Yeah.
are trying to turn
The
the long
opposite
terms
way.
into short terms.
yeah, and I'm doing it, short term. Okay, I'll do a 3 to 6 month contract on it.
A corporate kind of type
yeah.
thing.
Yep. But Airbnbs are getting so inundated in our market that
It's flooded.
It's flooded. You're scrolling through and looking, and I'm like, well, why would they pick my place? And this place is $30, $20 cheaper. So creating an experience in your Airbnb, I think, is huge.
Yeah.
So we talked earlier, like we have one, 5-unit on Brighton Road. Airbnb 2 bottom units, and then long-term rents on the 3. So your long-term tenants are paying the mortgage, and then your short-term rentals that's your income.
Bonus.
Yeah.
There's the income.
So it's we have the puzzle pad, and then we have the book nook, and Amanda Williams from Mission Stays. It runs all that, created the experience in there for the guest, and is the person behind that. But it's creating that experience is what gets your bookings.
See, and that's so cool. And I know you explained it earlier, but just because this is a different platform, could you explain kind of those 2 different experiences of those places, the puzzle place and the book nook?
Yeah, so the puzzle pad is, she had an artist come in and paint a puzzle on the wall. So just puzzle pieces going together. And there's games in there, puzzles in there. So it creates an intimate experience. It's just a 1-bed, 1-bath, small place.
It just makes it fun.
Yeah,
right?
fun,
Unique,
something to do.
different.
Yeah.
That's honestly the big thing, I think. I mean, what's your idea between hotels and Airbnbs now? Because back in the day, Airbnb came out and VRBO, everyone's going towards it. Me too. Like, I'd be
True.
like, I'm going to find this best
Same.
deal. But nowadays, after the fees, after everything, but then you look at hotels and they've upped their game. Now you have nice amenities, spas, like all this stuff.
Yeah.
And they've lowered their prices a little bit. Now it's like kind of, they're coming back.
Yeah.
But I'm going back to hotels nowadays, honestly, unless I find a really true experience, because by the time you're done with an Airbnb, paying the cleaning fee, which you still have to clean up when you're done.
Yeah.
You have to do this, you have to pay this fee and everything. You're like, wait, why don't I just go to a hotel where I have parking, valet, spa, I can go, my room's cleaned every day, it's no extra charge,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like,
Room service.
exactly. So you have to up your game
They've got
up.
economies of scale too, which most Airbnb owners just don't have.
But do you think also, like, with the pricing of properties going up, and especially this last year, is that would also hurt? Because people, you got to make your money, so you also have to charge more.
So they're charging more
When properties
per.
are cheap, you can rent out for whatever you want. But when the property costs a lot and you have a higher interest, you got to charge more, right?
Yeah.
And then Airbnb is becoming greedy and wanting to take more money. So
And Airbnb is not owner friendly at all. I mean, we had one guest who said they felt unsafe in the place. They had booked it for a month, and then they're in a week and they're like, oh, I feel unsafe. She's 2 German Shepherds with her. I'm like, what are you talking about? Nobody's coming and touching them.
That's in your Airbnbs?
Service dogs.
Oh.
the secret is out. The hack is out.
The service
If you
dog.
see it-
Service dog.
Dude, my bulldog was a service dog. I ain't up front. Like,
You're a service dog.
Touche.
He's fine for free with me. That's my service dog. He's my emotional.
It's my emotional support
Can I get a
animal.
certificate
That's
for
how
you?
I fly
Actually,
first
holy
class, yeah.
crap! Yeah.
Start wearing a vest.
What's the
There you
worst?
go.
Yeah, dude, give me a red vest. Give me a red vest.
What's the worst like Airbnb experience, or like the weirdest?
So, I will tell you the weirdest and worse, but actually great story. It was not my property, but so it's a new build that I sold, and the guy was in contract for it, designed the whole thing, and in his divorce decree, unbeknownst to himself, he's at closing titles looking at his divorce. He was not finalized his divorce yet. So it says in there that he is not allowed to move out of state because of his daughter and their school system. So he's like, what are we talking about? I'm a week away from closing.
Yeah.
So his attorney's like, you can't buy the house, or you can't move into it.
Yeah.
He could buy it, but he couldn't move.
The
So
Airbnb.
we were like, well, let's Airbnb it. So Amanda.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. I mean, the basement was soundproof because he's a musician.
Oh,
So
that's
it was that custom. So Amanda says, well, let's Airbnb it and we'll make it a music house. Forget what it's called. But so if you went in the basement, there's a little drum set down there. There was a guitar down there.
Terry's like, wait, where is this? I'm booking this right
Yeah,
now.
I was gonna
Give me the listing.
Give me the guideline.
Yeah. So there's on the cameras, you can see, I mean, dude's just walking in with this big giant speaker. And, she screenshots it. She's like, there's going to be a party here tonight. They had a rager. I mean, vomit was everywhere.
Oh.
Shut up.
Burnt, holes in their couch,
Oh,
cigarette
shit.
burns everywhere, puke everywhere. They did something to the coffee pot. There's like this black shit in the coffee pot.
Jesus, what was
Um,
that?
Turn the coffee pot into a bong or
It was a
pipe or whatever you call it.
Right. So, she reports it. They go through this whole thing. On the news, this is probably 8 months later, is wanted for shooting at a club.
Oh, shut up.
She's like, that's the dude that was carrying the speaker in.
No.
So she
What?
literally
In
called
Columbus?
the police, in Columbus, and called the police, and they caught him. She's like, here's his photo, here's all of his information from Airbnb, and literally got the
Hopefully the reward covered the damages then.
Get in
Right?
there,
I was like-
Solve a crime. Done.
That's the best story I have on the Airbnb.
That's
Holy shit.
That's
That could have went one of two
Awesome.
ways too.
right.
yeah.
So as a real estate investor, you also do new builds,
Mhm.
which I've never really done a new build.
Yeah.
And
We're trying to.
trying to, but everyone says it's so much easier because it's so repeatable.
So
And
it's
it's
so
like-
much easier.
And so, walk us through that, how you got involved with that, how you structure that, and what that
Yeah.
looks like.
How do you get funding for that?
Funding's the easy part.
Is it
On
for
a
that?
new build, if you own the land, the bank, you can go to a traditional lender. They'll just use your land as the collateral.
Yeah.
So it's really no money out of pocket for you. New build, I love new builds because it's so systematic. It's very black and white. Where rehabs, there's that gray area of well, we take that wall out. This might be
Right.
behind it, or
No
the floors are
surprises.
so wonky
You
or
run
whatever,
into plaster and
Yeah, you're dealing with all that stuff. So new builds are straightforward. You got your excavator, you got pour your walls. Everything is scalable with new builds. And some downtown neighborhoods, you got 15-year tax abatements on that, which is huge, saving you thousands of dollars a month.
Yeah.
So,
It's like a Korean barbecue. If you mess it up, hey, it's your fault. You made it.
Yeah.
Right.
No surprises.
Yeah,
Kind of.
Are you building to rent or are you building to flip? Sell?
building to sell. Yeah, the ones that we have going right now. So I have 156 Lotta on the market, and again, still creating something that's a little different. The whole back of it's glass, sliders that opens all the way up to the backyard.
That's amazing.
Did a sunken in
I wish my house was like that.
entertainment space in the basement,
Nah.
so you actually go down into a pit.
That was
Oh,
that
nice.
was
Where
like
is this
a very
at?
70s,
Yeah.
80s thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The pitch with the living
Like some
rooms and all
Boogie Nights
that.
stuff.
Yeah.
It's coming back.
Boogie
It's not
Nights.
come back. It's
I
over
know
at
exactly what you're
156
talking
Lotta.
about.
What's Boogie
It's
Nights?
for sale.
Oh my lord.
What'd you say? I'm gonna look
Boogers?
this up.
No,
Oh.
Mark Wahlberg back in the day. Anyways, back to the sunken,
156.
Yeah.
thing.
So yeah, it's all the new builds are a little different and add some type of. You're not going to get that house everywhere.
Yeah.
So again, that's where you're increasing your value.
So how
Oh
do you,
shit! Look at this thing.
You think downtown living's
Old
coming
Town
back
East?
though? Like, are
Yeah,
people
yeah.
trying to buy downtown?
hold on, let me see that.
There.
It's
Hold on.
it's
Hold
still
on.
down.
I want to see that back
The
It's a
glass.
risk, but it's worth it though. You got the right buyer.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
So
I guess-
do you design all your stuff? Oh my god, that back is so cool.
Yeah, so
Let me
I
see
do the
it.
floor
Turn
plan
around.
design on all of the new builds I have currently. And then Amanda will go in and she'll do the finished design. So her and
Did
I
I
work
know this
together.
house?
Wait, is that the one that Mike was? Are you working with Mike on that one?
Builder?
No.
This is so dope.
Oh, you're talking about Yaus.
Yeah,
and,
Yaus's.
Yeah. So they're
I've seen it
working
on his Instagram before.
Yeah, on Granville Street.
Okay.
That house is
Similar styles. I like that look.
yeah.
How do you decide what features I see this?
She has good style, obviously.
How do you?
She doesn't like
there's a
boob
bar
lights.
back there.
Trust her.
That's awesome. And the bar fridge is cool.
Did Amanda virtual stage it too?
It's really staged. So we physically
Actual
staged.
stage.
Yeah.
What did I say? Yeah. She does actual staging,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, because
Yeah.
Tommy had requested it.
Oh, that's
She's
sweet.
on one of our Airbnbs right now.
Mm.
Yep.
How do you figure out what features to put in a home though? Especially
That
on
master
these, like,
suite
how do
with
you figure out,
skylights.
like
That
what
master suite is.
to put in something? Or do you just come up with shit like, or are you just laying in bed like, man, that'd be cool to put in this house? Like, how do you come
Yeah.
up?
So I look at a lot of design from California and just other markets.
Mm.
And we're so far behind in Ohio
Yeah, that's
and
so
the
true.
Midwest. I mean, just
Agreed.
so far behind.
Agreed.
So if you're looking at, style wise, if it's cool in those markets,
Look
it's
at New
gonna
York,
come
look
here.
at LA, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Even though the houses would be much more grand
more
out
That's what we
there.
do with bars. Oh, we saw this bar in LA. Let's start one here in Columbus.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, that's so cool. It's been out
Yeah.
there for so long.
Right. Yeah. So it's like a new idea here. And working with the architect is huge. You know, when I first sit down with the architect, I tell him the ideas of what I have, and they put it on paper. We probably, not kidding, go back and forth probably 6 to 10 times. That shower wall there, 3 times it took us
Oh, wow.
physically meeting for him to remove the wall. So it was halfway, then it was this way, and then it was kind of this way. I'm like, I want the wall completely gone.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, if you're in the shower and someone's in the bed, I'm like, yeah, they should be invited into your room. So it's okay.
Yeah.
Someone in the shower and I'm laying in bed. It's okay.
I wouldn't mind
Right.
that. Okay. Oh,
Literally, I'm like, it's-
boogie nights. Now I remember. Okay.
Full circle. So yeah, it's that type of thinking outside the box. That shower's not for everybody. I mean, that house isn't for everybody.
Yeah.
Well, the
So
person
you
that
look
is
at your
will
buyer
pay it.
pool,
Yeah.
right?
For sure.
But and for those people that may be novices, whatever, but like
Yeah.
you limit your buyer pool, but the ones that actually want to buy that house
We'll pay for it.
will actually pay more.
And they're probably
is
in
the
love
line of
with it.
thinking.
Yep.
Got it.
You're not gonna, unless you custom build another house like that, you're not gonna have that house even.
Yeah.
And the profit margins on new builds compared to rehabs and flips,
Well,
are they similar?
They were a lot greater. So I built my house 4 years ago, and my partner and I custom built that property on Lada, and we were like, we're gonna downsize, we're gonna live there.
That was for you guys?
Yeah,
Okay.
and we were thinking, okay, I can put a carriage house above the garage, because that would be, space. Mom comes in town all the time. That would be
In-law
throwing
suite.
space in there, little in-law suite. City wouldn't let us, build because of the utility poles. Also thought definitely I could probably get the lot next door because I knew the owner. He's like, I just put that in contract, Misty. I'm like, what the hell? So I contact the guy you put in contract with. I'm like, hey, I'll give you $20,000 over what you have in contract for. And he's like, no, we're actually going to build there. And I'm like, all right. So
30.
lost the
40.
lot, right, and couldn't build up. So I'm like, we're really downsizing for what I paid to build our current house 4 years ago. What I'm currently paying to build this, my mortgage is about $200 off. So it does not make sense. And I'm giving up an extra lot. I'm giving up about 1,800 square feet.
Phew.
So it's like,
That's a
why
whole,
Change
that's a whole
downsizing?
house.
You know?
Yeah.
So the cost of building has gone up quite a bit, even though lumber's come down.
Labor, maybe.
It's labor, it's the entitlement of the market. I don't know what it is anymore.
It's definitely entitlement in the
yeah.
market.
Yeah.
We just had to replace a hot water tank today at a venture that we have together, and the cost of a 100-gallon water tank is astronomical.
Yep.
How much is one now?
Well, my quotes were if we do it in-house, it's going to cost us about $2,800.
Even
If
in-house?
outsourced, it was going to cost us $5,400.
What?
Yes.
For a water tank?
For a water tank, yeah, we're getting it right now for $2,300.
We used to rehab like a whole house for $5,800.
Right?
Like, what the heck?
It's insane.
Yeah.
So it's just like, when is this?
Bobby
Fox
definitely
Mania
did.
Gonna be over?
Yeah. Yeah. And you think of like, wow, you have that. It's priced at $280 to $300 a square foot, and I'm like, okay, well, it costs $210 a square foot to build it. So, I mean, your profit margin is
You
there.
have interest and carrying costs and fees
Exactly.
and title costs, real
Yep.
fees, all that stuff.
That's not in the square foot cost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing I don't think a lot of people understand about the building or the flipping business is all the costs that are associated with
For sure.
property. So something I've shared in our Scalers Only group is we have this profitability matrix that we use in our company. And it shows you every single cost along the way, your carrying costs, your realtor fees, your title costs.
Yep.
I mean, almost down to a T. I mean, we're within, $1,000, $1,500 every single time that we project something out just using the sheet. But it's like, these are the costs that like your team's not going to understand. A simple acquisition specialist that's acquiring properties like, oh, I'm buying this for $200. We're going to sell it for $350. And I'm like, okay, did you see all the costs? Like, really, the amount of risk that you're taking to make this much money doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But I think that's something that a lot of people just don't understand.
They don't get it at all.
They like that quick money and they see the things, and all the fools
They
will
just-
sell you on that.
But
Yeah.
it's
Buy price
it's same thing as a
150,
bar
sell
business,
price
like-
280.
or the restaurant business. They see $100,000 come through your register, and they're like, oh, well, they're making money hand over fist. And they don't see that you're running on margins that are literally razor thin.
Yeah.
And so when your costs go up and taking that much risk, it's like,
Cogs
why
mania.
even take the risk?
Yeah. Why are you even doing it?
So how are you evaluating deals today versus back then?
I'm being very, very conservative. I used to price when the market was hot, multiple offers. I used to price, okay, well, this is going to be ready, in 3-6 months. We can increase the price a little bit and bank on that. And we're doing a different design, higher end finishes than, the guy next door. So I used to inflate, a little bit just because I knew that we were putting in quality work. Now it's like, if the numbers don't make sense today, if I don't have, sign in the yard today, what is my price going to be? And how long is it going to be on the market? We didn't have to calculate those days on the market too much, 8 months ago.
There were no days on the
Now-
market.
Not at
It was
all.
There were no
offers
days.
before you even put it
It was
out.
like 2-3 days.
Would you say that's one of the most important KPIs that you're looking at right now? I mean, I know you're big
Absolutely.
on that, like your key performance indicators for those of you guys watching. But what are some top 3 key performance indicators that you look at in your business?
Days on market.
Okay.
What are predicting, what are my average days on market, and that changes from zip code to zip code. If you look at 43205, 43206, your average days on market are around 60 days. And if I'm looking in Westerville, Dublin, any
Other
of the
Columbus
suburbs, there's
suburbs.
suburbs.
The nice suburbs for sure.
Yeah, we're looking at average days on market of 12. So
That's
when I'm
such a
looking at
drastic
deals-
difference.
Right. I'm
Calculating
calculating
your interest costs,
my carrying cost, interest cost,
taxes, insurance.
tax,
Headaches.
all of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Gotta hold it through
The phone
winter, and my
calls,
pipe's
the-
gonna burst during the whole
Right.
thing.
Yeah. And
Shit.
How many burst pipes did you have this winter?
well, that one weekend I had 2 pipes burst and 2 furnaces
Furnaces.
go out, and then my own heater, in my own pool. Let the dogs out. I'm like,
Oh, shit.
normally the snow is melting on top of the pool. It's frozen. Weird. Heating mechanism, of course, went out that weekend. So pool was a solid block of ice.
Oh God.
That deep freeze or like
Damn.
rainy days, that's when
How's
you
that,
find out
how's
all
that
your
work with
issues.
a pool, by the way? Like, I used to have an in-ground pool.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had that happen, thank
Yeah.
goodness. But once it freezes, does like something happen to the liner, or is that something you have to take
Expand.
care
They're
of?
built for
Does it
flex though,
expand?
because you drain it down to a certain level, right? So it can
Yeah,
freeze
so
up.
it was drained down to lower
The right
than what
level.
it should have been.
Acceptable level.
And so when it froze, it didn't freeze
Yeah, it just went
out.
up.
It just went up. So I was lucky for that, but yeah, I could definitely crack the whole line.
And then you don't know till
everything.
spring because that's when it drains, right? If it's frozen, it's not gonna.
So I called the company out, and they're like, "Oh, it's just this little sensor on the heating thing we need to replace." He popped one in there, and it fired right back up.
Yeah.
He's like, "I was like, so is it okay? Like if this starts to like thaw out?" He's like, "Well, if your yard starts to flood, I mean, you'll know." I'm like, "What?"
Well, thanks, man.
Right.
Thanks,
I was
bro.
like,
That's
okay.
I don't need to water my
Band-Aid
grass just
solution.
yet.
Right.
The Band-Aid solution.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's already bleeding, then you can stop
Right.
it.
So
Ridiculous.
yeah,
So you grew up in Akron?
I did. Mhm.
Did you grow up with money, or were you kind of like,
Yeah. No.
no?
My mom was pregnant with me at 15. She turned 16 November 6th. I was born on November 15th. So
Jesus.
You're 2 days after me.
yeah. Yep. Scorpios.
Yep. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're stubborn.
So that what kind of keeps you? Because anyone you talk to, that your name comes up, it's usually like she's the hardest worker. She's just nonstop bulldog.
Great.
Yeah.
Never wanting to go back. You know, I always say I know how to be poor. I know how to go back there. I never knew how to have money. So I attribute that to also being in the business so long. And, you know, I look at the guys around me and I'm like, well, damn, you know, they have 60 rental properties, 300 rental properties, and I've been doing this longer. So it is coming from that, not that almost the scarcity of being successful is, okay, how do I keep going that direction? I already know how to be down here. And what has helped me through that is the mentorship program, mentoring other people and having mentors around me that are, you know, oh, you're Misty Linn, you're this, that. And it's like, well, am I? You know, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
You know, you still stumble through your days, but you do it. I'm very genuine. I'm a person of my word, and I think that goes a long way.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that what keeps you grounded? I guess is like the humble beginning, even though you've done, because you have done a lot.
Yeah.
Like being that, you know, that successful in multiple different areas.
I'll never forget where I came from, you know, and I would never take it back either. You know, we grew up together. My mom and I, we grew up in the projects.
Mhm.
Then when I was 10, she met my brother's dad. And then we moved to Cuyahoga Falls, which
That's
then
where my
was
brother
called-
lives.
Yeah, it's
Cuyahoga Falls. Yeah, what?
called it Caucasian Falls. So I'm going
I've never heard
from
Caucasian.
Caucasian Falls. Going from where I was a minority, you know, growing up in the projects, a white female, but those that was my people. Like my neighbors, they'd get dinner ready for me because mom was working or something.
Nice neighbors.
Yeah, so you were raised really in that community. You know, my one neighbor was stricter than my mother was, but I knew not to cross her. And then going from that at the age of 10 to just a completely different atmosphere, upbringing. Yeah, and then I went and lived with grandma because I apparently couldn't be good in the Cuyahoga Falls School District.
Yeah.
So
That probably helps relating, especially as a realtor, because I feel like we were talking about this yesterday. That's why we do feel like a lot of realtors is dead, is because the personality piece has gone out the window, because
Yeah.
everyone wants to automate everything.
yeah,
So if you had grown up multiple different demographics in different areas, it helps
Yeah.
you relate to
You
like,
can adapt.
yeah.
for sure.
Also, wait, you did change your real estate branding or something too, didn't you? Or rebranded your real estate company?
I did. Yeah.
What was behind that? Just
Removing the word core.
Why?
Removing the word Ohio.
Oh, okay.
So it was Core Ohio, and now it's Core
Yep.
Realty Collection. So
Broader
That's
base.
a brilliant move.
Yeah, I did not like the word Ohio. Really stuck me here in Ohio.
Are you
So-
planning? Are you?
Brilliant move. Even though we're the Ohio home company,
Yep.
I will say it's a brilliant move.
We're also, we have
We got stuff lined up.
A lot of
Yeah, we
different
got
names.
stuff lined up.
We got
but-
stuff
We got
lined up to
Columbus
change.
Home
Like-
Company, Ohio Home Company,
National
Cincinnati.
Home
Yeah,
Company.
we bought.
Global Home
spent
Company.
hundreds of thousands of dollars, meaning,
Yeah.
straight up on trying to own the state and the city and all that stuff. And it's like you got to put your anchor down somewhere, but at the same time, like
Evolve.
if you put your anchor down,
Mm-hmm.
then you stop,
It's done. Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And so you can't really expand until you get another ship. So
Yep.
I that's why I say I just
Damn,
I
that's
think it's
deep.
brilliant.
That's
Yeah.
deep.
It was deep.
Came up with that on the spot.
Right.
Are you planning on expanding to other markets?
I would like to expand. I would.
I
like
guess
to
that would be the-
expand more so the mindset of real estate agents and helping other people grow their businesses.
So like your mentorship,
yeah.
you want to take that more.
So I do want to talk about that a
Yeah.
little bit. So talk about Link and people you serve and
Yeah.
just target demo, like just talk about all that.
So Link was really, it was created because of our industry. You know, if I hang out with you guys and go on vacation with you guys, and we go hang out on the yachts together and do all the fun stuff.
Lots of yachts.
Yes,
There's lots of yachts.
Yeah, and it's I don't know, I think females work differently than the guys do.
It's male dominated, the real estate space.
100%.
Yeah.
And even especially the investor space.
Yeah.
You know, when they see a female
That's-
investor walk
yeah, that's
in,
what I meant.
and contractors asking me if I know what drywall is.
It's like when you saw Austin. Wait, who are you? Are you the painter?
I mean,
This kid?
It's just the amount of anger that it gives me to take that contractor down. Belittling me, asking me what drywall is.
You even know,
Out
right?
of here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I was at the Elevate event and they announced me on the mic and like, oh, our first female, speaker, and I'm like, I'm gonna be announcing that, guys. I mean, that's not a proud thing,
Right.
Yeah,
That was probably only a few months ago, right?
It was about a year ago.
Yeah. Oh, was it that one? Okay.
Yeah.
Don't they call that mansplaining?
Yes.
I heard that term. My 10-year-old daughter, it came up with that on TikTok.
Yeah.
I'm like, where the hell did you hear that? No one better ever be mansplaining anything to you.
Right.
You're grounded.
Yeah. So it was I don't know, it was that moment where, I started talking to those guys. I'm like, you guys need to get more, there's a lot of females that are doing really cool shit, and they're like, all right, Misty, we just started, like, chill out, it's cool. And I'm like, why am I coaching these dudes?
Yeah, I'm gonna
Let's
do
just
it.
Yeah, let's start it. And really the word link to me is, I think of my grandmother. She was the link to our family. Every Sunday, no matter what, we were going to grandma's
Make sure.
house.
Dinner.
And having dinner.
I
Yep.
love that.
Go to church and go have dinner with
Are you
grandma.
Italian or something? Because I know that's like a.
Baptist.
Got it.
Yep. Grew up Baptist, and it was the Baptist church, and we're all together on Sunday.
Hallelujah.
Yes, literally. So
Say grace.
it was that family link to bring people together, and that's what I wanted to do with this mentorship type program. Bring people, we have some guests, we have people in the audience,
But not just real estate,
It's
right?
not just real
Yeah.
estate. No, now we have people bringing their notepads and their pens in, and they're literally taking notes from the speakers. So adding value to people, uplifting their businesses, no matter what business it is. And it's not just for females. We do focus a lot on females because I don't think a lot of people do.
Agreed.
And yeah, it's been great. I can tell you, every link that we've had, I've had somebody come up to me and be like, you have given me this thing that's changed my life, or I'm quitting my job because of this.
That's the best feeling
Amanda
ever when
has-
you
yeah.
when you inspire that and do that.
Right hand person came from the Link event. They're like, I'm quitting, and so they quit their job. Amanda, was on the mic like, I need help. I need, here's the things I need, and called Amanda up, interviewed her, and still working now.
So because you branded yourself, because you put yourself out there, you got a portion of your team, and a big portion of your team.
Yeah, huge portion.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yep.
And so like for those people who are trying to hire, like you didn't have to go hire. You just put yourself
They
out
came
there.
to you.
This is what I did. They came to you.
Absolutely.
So there's not this thing where like, oh, it's like they want to be there.
Yeah, they want to be
Yeah.
there. And, Amanda came to me. She was selling commercial plumbing for a company. And she came to me. They were looking for warehouse space, and then we started talking about staging. And that weekend, I had a stage available, and I just called her up and said, "Hey, you seem real passionate about it. You want to do the stage for me?" She's like, "Well, how much does it pay? How much you?" I was like, "I got $1,300." And she's like, "I think I can make it happen." And that's literally how she started her company and her business.
No kidding.
So helping other people, uplifting other people, is something I'm very passionate about, and that gives me more joy than selling any houses.
But that's also because you've seen how much having a mentor has helped you, right?
Oh,
And so
for
it's the
sure.
same way. Like we talk about this all the time. Same people. Most of the guests we have on, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, I had a mentor that helped me come up through the ranks."
I think it boils down to, like, there's some people, it's like, oh, I'm self-made. I'm on the train that no one is self-made.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, you talked about your mother, your grandmother, other people that have helped you along the way, and regardless whether you pay for it or you don't,
Right.
there's all these other people that have been a part of your journey. And so, like, people say, "Oh, I don't believe self-made is a thing."
Self-made is not a thing.
Or people think help is bad. Drop your ego and take the
Yeah,
help.
right.
I mean, dude,
Help.
whatever it is, take any help in any form. If it's helping you and helping you grow, go for it.
Who are
Nothing
some
wrong
of
with
your
that
mentors?
whatsoever.
I would say, for sure, family. It's and a mentor isn't,
You don't gotta pay for all of them.
It doesn't have to be monetary, right?
Yeah, it
Be
doesn't
a-
have to be monetary. It also doesn't have to be somebody that you idolize and like this person's super
Michael
dope, I wanna
Jordan,
mentor 'em.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's true.
and it could be somebody I don't want to be like this person, so I'm gonna not do those things that person's doing.
That's a different way too. I've never heard that.
Yeah, it's the opposite of, it's still looking at somebody and looking at their business, their ethic, business, how they're living. Do I want to mirror image that type of living, or do I want to be over here doing this type of thing? So
Just
it's
learning
not
from
always
it.
Yeah.
So one of the things I always say is, you can build a business to build it as a legacy piece or build it to sell, or you can kind of have this lifestyle business where you go on yachts when you want, you go on vacation, you hang out in Cabo or wherever you want, or you go Europe, backpack or whatever.
Yep.
But it's kind of hard to have both. It's kind of hard to drive culture and be that person that is,
consistent.
building this company to be this monstrosity and go and sell it. Or you're gonna have to build this lifestyle thing. Like, where do you fall in that whole category, or do you believe the same thing that I do, that you can't have both?
I don't think that you can have both. Well, I guess you can have both in moderation, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm going on a yacht, I'm going to Cabo, I'm traveling, those in moderation, I can do those things. If I'm gone, 8 months out of the year, my team's going to be like, "Dude, what the hell are you doing? We're doing all the work over here, and you're in Cabo again." So it's again scaling that back to, okay, I can have the fun, I can do the trips, and then here's my business. And there's a time and a place where I am 100% not traveling. And that decision was made in November when the market started to shift. I'm like, okay, cutting the bullshit out. I'm not traveling. I'm not going anywhere. There's been several friends of mine who've been like, "Hey, come here, do this, do that." And I'm
So
like,
you're
I'm not
hunkering
doing
down
it
right now.
Yeah.
At one point, though, what do you think your future exit strategy is going to be? Like, do you want to do this forever? Or do one day do you actually want to sell your company or hire someone to run it while you're still the main person that's handed down to generations? Then you get to relax,
That's not Misty.
Yeah.
I know
There's
it's not
no
you,
way.
but
There's no way.
you never know.
I'm
10
answering
years
that
down
for
the
you.
road,
There's
5
no
years.
way.
Do you see yourself, 10 years down the road, just being like, you know what, my company's running great. I'll oversee. I have a person there, and I can enjoy my life now, and they can make it better and hand it down. My mentees are taking it over, stuff like that. Or do you just want to sell the thing? And
So I get
where do you see yourself in the future, whatever years it is? Like, what's your end goal of it all?
I get that question often, and also, from my financial planner, they're like, "Okay, what age are we retiring?" There's
like,
not an
"What is
age
that?"
to retire. It's
That sounds boring.
it's so, and I'm like, "That's when I die." But yeah, it's
Even then, she'll be
I will
working.
go- I'll go retire for the evening.
right. So, when you talk
That was
about
fun.
scaling and hiring somebody to do that, so part of my rebranding was that strategic move of hiring somebody else to do my back end stuff for me.
Yeah.
So I never wanted to be a broker. I don't want to be responsible for all these agents, doing a wrong thing, and then I'm sitting in court for them.
Yeah.
So I've always hired that out. So partnering with a company called Side. So if you think of Core Realty Collection, that is I own the business, own the company. Side is my side hustle. They're my legal, they're my broker, they are my compliance. So they run all of that for me. I don't have to worry about that. So that allows me the freedom to do what I like to do, and that's mentor and help my agents. Where before it's like, oh, did you do this right? You do that right? And a day for me in the office doing paperwork is an unproductive day. I don't like doing the paperwork.
Sounds gross.
Yeah, terrible. I'm better in the field, better socializing. So yeah, retirement would be scaling to say, okay, I don't have to be in the day-to-day of the operations of this business, because I've built it to a point where I don't have to be that. But as far as like retiring, sipping cocktails on the beach,
Yeah.
That's not.
You would have to have an off switch.
Yeah.
And I don't. Yeah.
No. It's
Even the face she makes when
Your
you're sad,
off,
she's like,
even
nah.
when we vacation,
I don't
your
want
off
that.
switch is maybe an hour or two, and then we're back to like, hey, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna grow? What are we gonna do next?
Well, at some point, you got to hand it over to somebody, right? I mean, like we were talking, realtors are dead.
man,
I mean, we're all gonna die at some point, so
prepping my nieces and nephews.
there we go. So, keep it,
Right.
so you want it to be generational, like you're gonna hand it down to a family generation, let them run it, and
Yeah.
you don't want to be like exit by selling. You actually want to keep it going like a dynasty, pretty much.
I would love to keep it going. Building this for.
You're gonna be the
Dynasty,
patriarch, like you know what
yeah.
started.
Dynasty.
Yeah.
Dynasty.
Building So I sent a book, the teenage version of Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just sent it to my sister's house, and she goes, "This has to be for my sister." And
Wait, teenage poor dad, what?
It's
It's
Rich Dad Poor Dad, but there's a teenage version for it.
Oh, is it
I bought
really?
for my stepson.
so
Is that
it's
called Teen Mom on MTV?
Bobby, we're watching
Opposite.
different stuff.
Listen, Bobby, we live different lives, brother.
So, just sent it to the house, and I was like, I want to see where this goes. And so my niece, she's 11. So my sister called me. She's like, "You had to send this book." And I was like, "Yeah, I sent it." I said, "Tell Gracie that she needs to read that." And I'm like, all about like start them young. I wish I knew when
What you know now.
Oh my gosh, even like a fraction of it. Yeah.
It's hard when you're young because you don't want to know. That's the thing too. The other side, you can tell anyone so much. Like teach them young, teach
I
them
think
young.
there's
But same time, when you yourself was young, like when I was young, I didn't want to know it. I was too busy. You know what I mean? Like the mentality has to be there for the young person too.
There's an incubation period.
Yeah.
Right? Because when they get to teenage, their mind's already
Yeah,
made up. But
yeah.
if you can get them when they're like 7 to 12 or something like that,
Their brain's
before
still
they start.
developing, man.
Yeah.
Still developing.
Yeah.
So we have I wouldn't say small, but it's a decent venture. Together. We got to collaborate, and we're gonna make a lot of money together, which I'm excited about.
Yep.
But I was at an event with Mark Evans. You just happened to show up for like you just kind of went in 10 minutes, happened to catch you, gave you a hug, and I was like, yeah, I got this building, and I threw out my number first, which is like a big mistake. I'll put that.
Yeah,
up
the next day Terry's like, well, guess what I did?
Damn it! I just shortchanged myself.
But you know it's Misty, so it's all good. But still,
and you're like, yeah, I'm in, and like you were immediately like when we came up with the idea, I was like, dude, this would be freaking awesome.
Isn't that how you got this?
Is how I got this building. Yeah,
You paid it forward.
sometimes I just put my cards out there, and going back to putting yourself out there and just putting out what you're trying to do.
Yep.
It works,
It
and so.
absolutely works,
I just want you to talk about how this whole thing worked, because I'm super excited about it, and now that we got a lease in place and all that stuff, we're
we
gonna
can actually
roll
talk
it.
about it.
Yeah.
Have you made some announcements on it yet, or no? Or do people know?
So I.
Or it's gonna be
Sure,
like, we're debuting it right here.
Let's.
I made the mistake of telling Virginia West.
Oh.
That got on the mic. And I'm
really?
sitting in the audience. And,
We can hold
yeah.
this episode for a while.
So wait.
No.
See, I know I worked with either. I
Chris.
forget. Yeah, I worked with Chris.
Yeah.
Great dude.
Financial.
Yeah.
Probably
Yeah.
name somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, he was across country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, talk about this project.
So,
Yes. So.
We'll talk in circles a little bit.
All right. Yeah. So District West I created District West from just seeing, during COVID, when we're all, on lockdown in our houses, I saw a lot of friends, people that I consider family members in their basements with ring lights, just, tip me, tip me, tip me, because a lot of entertainers, that is how they make their money. So if you think of that and you're like, well, shit, nothing's opening. It's not like they can go get a quick job somewhere.
Yeah.
Nothing's opening. Bars are not open. Definitely are not passing, money.
Such a weird time.
It was such a weird time, and I saw so many people just really falling and asking for help. And Chris, Virginia West, called and asked me if I had any warehouse space because they had a show that was sold out, and the club they performed at was not opening. And I was like, warehouse space. Let me call some people and see what I can find. And at that moment, I was like, when are you done being, served up like, a puppet here, just making money for other people? And you're scrambling now because you have a sold out show, and, they felt responsible for all of their performers, during the pandemic.
Yeah.
So they were able to perform outside at Stonewall. So that was an outdoor event there. And, they had the parking lot, security, everything was there. And then I had the idea from Austin's fiance, Pam. I knew her, and I was like, well, that used to be a hookah bar that, she ran the bottle service there, and happened to run into her at Franklin Park, and I was sitting on a friend's porch, as we all did porch. We had a charcuterie board, we were drinking bourbon.
Shootery board.
Yeah, and
Shooteries.
Austin and Pam walked by, and I was like, hey, I was just thinking about you. What are you guys doing with the hookah bar? It's called Havana.
Yeah.
And she's like, we were just talking about that. We have to sell it. I mean,
That's right.
we
That
can't
was
open.
Havana. I forgot about
Yeah.
that.
So I'm like, there's no way we're gonna go back to like handing mouthpieces over and like, smoke this hookah together.
Yeah.
Anytime soon. So I said, well, see what pricing wants for it, and it was lower than what I thought. So I said, write it up, and you could take a commission for it. So wrote it up. We turned that space literally in 3 weeks.
Oh, shit.
Smokes.
That's fast.
That's what's cool to have someone who flips houses all the time
Yeah.
do something like that. You're like, oh yeah, this is just
Yeah, my
another
whole-
thing to me.
Contractor.
Everyone off every project.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
And when you say that to your GC, they're like, oh, 3 weeks, okay. I mean, that's fine. And then Amanda
tell them
presents
1.5.
the floor plan, and they're like, wait, we have to move the plumbing. I'm like, yep, you're gonna have some long nights. That's just how it's gonna be. We have a sold out show in September, and we have 3 weeks to get this done.
Holy shit.
So,
Oh, wow.
And you did it.
and we did it. Yeah.
Through COVID.
It's amazing.
Through
COVID, through, and shout out to Amanda, man. She was hustling, getting chairs in, tables in, running to Restaurant Depot. Oh, we have only 10 of these tables. We need 15, Cincinnati, just going wherever we needed to go
Shit.
just to gather everything because nothing literally was in stock.
It's nice to have
And now it's growing. It's a
hustlers
success
around you.
too.
Yes. Yeah. And now it's, it's a great success. It's a safe space for all people. We're open 6 days a week, and we've outgrown our space, and having meetings with Chris. It's if you know Chris, and if you've ever been to any of their shows, he packs them in like sardines. And that was one thing I didn't like about the other club. I'm like, if I have to go to the bathroom, I have to climb over 10 people to go to the bathroom. And, when you pay $140 for a table, I would like an experience a little bit, a little bit of space around me. So creating that more of a show bar instead of packing people in, I said, well, just add more shows. So, and that's, Terry brought the idea of the second floor space to me. And when I walked in, I'm like, what is he thinking about? The ceilings are like 7 feet high.
Well, he's short,
Okay,
so for him, that's tall.
So are you using that as a showroom?
Crawl through my attic.
What's that?
Are you doing that as a showroom then?
No, so, at first looking at the space, I'm like, well, there's a drop ceiling. Let's see how high the ceilings are. So we pop up one of the drop ceilings. I'm like, still not high enough. Still not a club. And then he took me up through the rafters of the, I'm like, well, damn, now we're talking.
I had the duck, she didn't. We'll just
So it's, drop ceiling, and then you have the old school tiles, but you have a concrete ceiling and a concrete floor. And plus there's a opportunity for a rooftop there. So we're gonna bust it out.
So
You want a rooftop forever.
what are you doing?
Trying to find
yeah, I've
everything.
been trying to.
And that click, you're like, I got the best idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
He thought about putting a pool up there. I'm like, no, it's not going to work.
Yeah, no, I don't want.
Liability.
Yeah, I don't want to do all that.
Yeah.
So what's next for you? Besides that, obviously we talked about like let's next 5 years. I mean, what's one of the most things that you're most excited about?
Honestly, I would say for sure District West. I think that we are creating something there that is so special, and hearing people's stories of just having a safe space to go.
I think it's going to be a cornerstone of downtown.
Yeah.
It already is.
And
It's going to be even bigger and better
I think
now.
it's going to be an
You've created
anchor
something
in
amazing.
downtown.
I agree, and it's and my fiance has started Studio West, which is a dance studio for kids that maybe don't want to wear the tutus and the leotards, but they want to learn ballet. So she's also creating space for diversity with dance, and creating those safe spaces for people that are of the LGBTQ community is very important. Very passionate about it, and it's just creating a safe space for them to go and feel like they can be themselves. And when we talked about it, I was so worried about it being on the second floor. And I'm like,
Yeah.
because also people are lazy. So I'm like, am I being
Who wants
lazy
to go
right
up
now?
steps?
Right, I'm like,
You got an
no.
elevator.
And this elevator is 100 years old. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how much elevators cost.
Yeah. I'll throw an elevator in. Oh, crap. Why did I?
Right.
Why did I agree to this shit too?
Yeah. But with the craziness that's going on in our community right now, it feels so good to me to be on the second floor.
I was gonna say
you have to
it's less
Rise
accessible
above.
for someone to just
Yeah. being an idiot.
Yeah.
You have to actually go through security before you even get there.
Right.
So you feel safe within that space as well. And I think that's awesome. And if I think about clubs in like Chicago and LA, and I'm like, they're actually all in the
Being
second
ahead
floor.
of the times, right?
Yeah.
You got built-in security on the first floor, just saying.
Yeah.
yeah. Short North's getting crazy too. So
Yeah.
Yeah, people want to move.
where do you see the mentorship going? Because I know you said that's probably something you want to focus on.
It is.
Going forward.
I did a mentorship program. That is, I would say, the number one question I've had. When you start a mentorship, and I've always been like, I'm not set up for it.
Yeah, well, I meant Link, right? So
Yeah. So setting up Link, setting up the actual mentorship program that, I had 11 females in this last go around, and that was awesome. I did it at 7 p.m. on a Sunday, which I'll never do that again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
Are you still taking people for the mentorship, or is it something open, or is it just keeping it small right now?
So I haven't started the next round yet. It's something that, I think about that, and I always want to add value. So you are kind of your own worst critic, and like, okay, what am I going to add value to? And honestly, people just want to talk to you. My marketing people are like, you need to post like what you're doing. And I'm like, who gives a shit what I'm doing?
Take it for granted, like we all do.
And it's like, wow, that got a lot of likes.
Yeah.
I was doing nothing but walking the house or something.
People love that, actually.
They love it. Yeah.
They love disasters too. Oh, what are all these cockroaches? Oh my God, do you see that?
Yeah. So yeah, the mentorship program, to me, I would like to scale that, and in our real estate community, it's such a, I don't know, cutthroat type thing, right?
I was gonna say, speak your mind, sister.
Yeah. Anytime, there's agents from Coldwell Banker that hold my houses open, and every time they do, I get some, a DM or a message or something from another agent. Oh, are you allowed to have a Coldwell Banker agent in your? I'm like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, why not?
There's more opportunity for this thing to sell.
It's more opportunity for them to sell. They bring a buyer. So one of the questions was, do you take a percentage from the buyer that comes through? I'm like, no.
No.
My goal is to sell the property.
Yeah.
I don't care where the buyer comes from.
Yeah.
So that that mentality in our industry it's an old school mentality, the competitiveness.
Scarcity.
Yeah, it's scarcity, and with the market shifting, and I think we're going to see a lot more of that.
It's getting worse.
It's getting worse.
Yeah, because they want to hold it all back and.
Yep. And there's plenty of houses for everybody.
That's when
there's different markets for everybody.
Collaboration over competition comes into play.
Yeah.
Once people learn that, then move some volume, team up, and do more business.
Absolutely. Yep.
So we're going to move into what we like to call fire round.
All right.
We're going to get one of these buttons. It's like fire round.
Do it one day.
Soon. We haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah.
So we're going to go through it. You want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
Sure.
All right, I'm gonna go
Espresso
first.
martini or dirty martini?
Wow. I love both. Dirty to start with.
Mm.
Little bit of dirt, shaken well.
NYC, LA.
NYC.
Hospitality industry or the real estate industry?
Real estate.
Big city, small town.
Big city.
45 minutes early, 45 minutes late.
45 minutes late.
Owe money or owe
Love
a
it.
favor?
I'd rather owe a favor than
Okay.
owe money. Yeah.
Good.
Winter or summer?
Summer. Yeah.
And the last one. Get stranded by yourself on a desert island or stranded on a snow mountain.
Island then, if you want summer.
Oh, yeah, island for sure.
Yeah, desert island.
What?
Oh man,
Yeah,
is that even
desert.
snow mountain?
I mean, if I got clothes, I'm going on a mountain, bro.
No,
Yeah.
desert for
I'm
sure.
not being cast away Tom Hanks.
Listen, I've seen you
Yeah.
ski.
Wilson!
Talking to a damn ball.
Listen, I've seen you ski.
How
You're
can,
not getting
how
on
can
that
people get a
mountain.
hold
You're
of
not
you
getting
and
down
then
from that mountain.
when they follow up like on the mentorship, and how do people get a hold of you? Or Instagram, Facebook, or
Yeah,
phone
so-
direct?
When we talk about branding, when you first start real estate, I'm trying to come up with the most clever name and, a tagline, and it's just my name. So Misty Linn. So Misty Linn, realtor, I think, is on Instagram.
At Misty Linn Realtor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yep.
Yep. So yeah, just my name is branded everywhere.
And the name of your company is now just Core. No more Ohio, just
It's Core
Core.
Realty Collection. Yeah. So luxury president's website. Just really scaled up the logo. The website is amazing.
What's the website? CoreRealty.com or?
Yep. CoreRealty.com. So we shortened that to CoreRCHomes.com. So yeah,
Oh, yeah?
it's cool.
Awesome.
Love it. Well,
Pleasure to
Misty-
have you.
Misty,
Yeah, for sure.
listen,
Thank you,
been
guys.
a long time coming.
Yeah.
I really, really appreciate you coming on here.
Yeah.
I appreciate you talking to the Scalers Only community, too. That was awesome. People had some great questions, and you did
Sure.
a great job of answering them and just let them know what's up. So
Yeah.
I'm very, very appreciative. So,
I appreciate the opportunity.
absolutely.
Thank you.
It's cool to be down here.
Love it. So, hey, guys, thanks for tuning in to Scalers Only, the Scalers Only show, where we talk real estate, business, lifestyle, and everything in between. And until next time, peace.
Peace.